Welcome to Bookish Mind, Season 10, Episode 06. In a world constantly vying for our attention, what if the very tools designed to connect us are silently eroding our ability to truly focus? Today, we delve into Cal Newport's transformative book, Deep Work, to uncover profound strategies for reclaiming our digital lives. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, our deep dive takes us into the critical rule number 3 of deep work, which focuses on how we interact with our digital world. We're exploring how to combat the constant pull of network tools, and trust me, it's not just about quitting everything.
No, absolutely not. And what's fascinating here is how universally this challenge resonates. I mean, we all feel it, right? That constant fragmentation of our attention. This deep dive offers, I think, a really compelling argument and, importantly, practical strategies for knowledge workers, really. Anyone trying to reclaim their ability to focus and engage in what Newport calls deep work.
Right, that focused, distraction-free concentration.
Exactly, pushing your cognitive limits.
Okay, so to kick things off, let's look at a fascinating experiment. This was back in 2013 by a digital media consultant named Baraton Thurston. Apparently, this guy was described as the most connected man in the world, get this, over 59,000 Gmail conversations and 1,500 Facebook posts in just 1 year.
Wow, that's almost hard to fathom.
Right. And he was, in his own words, burnt out, fried, done, toast. So what did he do? He decided to just disconnect completely from his online life for 25 days. No Facebook, no Twitter, no Foursquare, not even email.
Just pull the plug.
Okay.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Newport's painting, Thurston's experiment, even though it was temporary, it really highlights two crucial points. First, this growing recognition that these network tools, social media, but also those infotainment sites like Business Insider or BuzzFeed, they genuinely do fragment our time. They reduce our ability to concentrate. This is a real problem for anyone, obviously, but it's especially acute for people trying to cultivate that deep work state.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Thurston adjusted surprisingly quickly. He noted, and I quote, "The quiet rhythm of my days seemed far less strange," and he felt he still existed despite not having shared documentary evidence.
That validation piece.
Exactly. He started striking up conversations with strangers, actually enjoying food without needing to Instagram it first. He even bought a bike because, as he put it, it's easier to ride the thing when you're not trying to simultaneously check your Twitter.
That's quite telling, isn't it?
It is, and he actually lamented when the 25 days were up, but, reluctantly reactivated everything.
And that reluctance brings up the second key point Thurston's story really summarizes. The often sort of impotence of our current discussions around these tools. We tend to see only a binary choice, don't we? Either you do a drastic internet sabbatical like Thurston did, or you just accept our current distracted state as, well, inevitable.
Right, it's all or nothing.
Exactly. But Newport argues this is way too crude, and the proof is kind of in Thurston's follow-up, right? Despite all those insights, he slid right back into hyperconnectivity. The book mentions him sending, like, a dozen tweets within hours of waking up just 6 months later.
Oof. Yeah, that's the painful truth, isn't it? It's like going on a strict diet and then, boom, straight back to old habits. We know it's not ideal, but that pull is incredibly strong.
It really is.
So what does this all mean, then? The book proposes there's a third option. It's not about demonizing these tools. Some might even be vital for work or connection. But the threshold for allowing them regular access to your time, your attention, even your data, it needs to be much, much more stringent. We're not talking about quitting the internet entirely, but rejecting what Newport calls the distracted hyperconnectedness.
And this brings us directly to the core problem Newport identifies. The any benefit mindset that so many of us often implicitly adopt. Think about it. When you ask people why they use, say, Facebook, what do they say?
Well, things like, it's entertaining, or I connect with old high school friends. Maybe I find interesting groups or forums.
Exactly. And Newport argues that while these benefits aren't, totally illusory, they are often minor and somewhat random. Were you really suffering a severe entertainment deficit before Facebook? Or genuinely lacking core social connections? Probably not for most people.
That's a good point. It reframes it.
It does.
And the huge problem with this any benefit approach is that it completely ignores the downsides, the negatives. These services are literally engineered to be addictive. They're designed to rob your time and attention from activities that actually support your real professional and personal goals. If you don't consciously weigh the pros against the cons, if you just use any tiny glimpse of benefit as justification, you're essentially, maybe unknowingly, crippling your ability to succeed at the things that really matter.
It's a silent sabotage, as you said. And to break out of this cycle, Newport suggests we need to shift our thinking entirely. We need to approach these network tools like any skilled laborer approaches their tools. Think of a blacksmith. They don't just grab any old hammer off the rack, right?
Oh, of course not.
Or an artist selecting brushes. There's sophistication and skepticism involved. They understand the tool's precise purpose and limitations.
Okay, so how does that translate to digital tools? The book gives this great analogy, actually, using a farmer named Forrest Pritchard. He's a successful, sustainable farmer. It's about his decision regarding a hay baler. When he took over his family farm, they made their own hay using this baler. Now, someone using that any benefit mindset would think, well, keep the baler. It makes hay from free grass. Seems like a no-brainer.
Makes sense on the surface. Free grass, free hay.
But Pritchard sold it.
Okay, why? Pritchard's calculation went way beyond just the direct costs, fuel, repairs, taxes on the equipment. He focused intensely on the opportunity costs. Spending all summer making hay meant he couldn't do other things, specifically raising broiler chickens. These chickens generated essential cash flow and manure, which was vital for enhancing his soil.
Ah, okay.
He ultimately concluded that buying hay, even though it cost money up front, actually resulted in healthier fields overall because, as he put it, soil fertility is my baseline. His decision wasn't simple. It was complex, nuanced, and driven by what was fundamentally most important to his farm's success.
So for us as knowledge workers, the lesson is pretty clear. Apply that same level of careful consideration, that same baseline thinking to the digital tools we use.
Exactly. And that's what Newport labels the craftsman approach to tool selection.
The craftsman approach, I like that.
Yeah, it's fitting. And the core principle is this. Identify the core factors that determine success and happiness in your professional and personal life. Adopt a tool only if its positive impacts on these factors substantially outweigh its negative impacts. Notice the word substantially. It's the direct opposite of the any benefit approach. It demands intention.
Okay, let's make this concrete. How does this look in practice? The book mentions writers like Malcolm Gladwell, Michael Lewis, George Packer.
Right, all highly successful writers.
And notably, they don't use Twitter. They acknowledge, sure, others find it useful, but for them, the cost outweighs the benefit. Lewis apparently worries that more accessibility will sap his energy and reduce his ability to research and write great stories. Packer just calls Twitter crack for media addicts.
Pretty blunt.
Very. And, their success kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It certainly makes you think. So the strategy Newport lays out involves a few steps. First, identify your main high-level goals, both professional and personal. And keep this list tight. What's really most important? Maybe a professional goal is something like to craft well-written, narrative-driven stories that change the way people understand the world. Just as an example.
Okay, got it. High-level goals first.
Then step 2. For each of those big goals, list the 2 or 3 most important specific activities that actually help you satisfy that goal, the critical actions.
So for that Michael Lewis example goal.
Right. The key activities might be research patiently and deeply and write carefully and with purpose. These are the things that directly contribute to achieving that high-level goal. They're the actions that truly move the needle.
Makes sense. Identify the core activities.
And finally, step 3. Take each network tool you currently use, Facebook, Twitter, Slack, whatever it is, and evaluate against those key activities. Ask, does this tool's use have a substantially positive impact, a substantially negative impact, or basically little impact on my ability to perform these vital activities? And the rule is, only keep using the tool if it provides substantial positive impacts that clearly outweigh any substantial negative ones.
So for Michael Lewis, using that framework.
For him, Twitter likely offers no convincing positive impact on his deep research or careful writing. At best, it's neutral, but more likely, given his comments, it would be substantially negative. So out it goes.
But hang on, you might argue, what about things like marketing, especially for writers who aren't as famous as Gladwell or Lewis? Or what about the social connection benefits of something like Facebook? Aren't those substantial positives for some people?
That's a really important question, and it brings us to another key concept Newport discusses.
Yeah.
The law of the vital few. You probably know it as the 80-20 rule.
Right. Pareto principle.
Exactly. The idea that in many systems, roughly 80% of the results come from only 20% of the effort or causes. Applied here, it means that for your most important life goals, a small number of vital activities that top 20%, maybe just 2 or 3 key things, will likely generate the vast majority of your success and fulfillment.
Okay, so focus on the high impact stuff.
Precisely. But here's the crucial part. all activities, whether they're high impact or low impact, consume the same limited resources, your time and your attention.
It's a zero-sum game.
It absolutely is. Every minute you spend scrolling or engaging in low-value online interactions is a minute you can't spend on those vital few activities that actually produce significant results. So even if Facebook does offer some minor benefit, like finding an old friend, the time and attention it drains might be far better spent on a high-impact activity, like, say, actually taking a good friend out for lunch or dedicating an hour to focused work.
You redirect the resources for a bigger payoff.
That's the idea. You get more overall benefit by concentrating on the activities that yield the largest returns. And this is likely why Newport suggests Gladwell, Lewis, and Packer are probably more successful, because they don't dilute their focus with tools like Twitter.
That makes a lot of sense. But thinking about today's world, Newport wrote this before the huge shift to remote and hybrid work. How does our increased reliance on digital tools like Slack or Teams complicate applying this craftsman approach professionally?
That's a very timely question. And I think while the specific tools have evolved or maybe proliferated, the underlying principle of the craftsman approach remains incredibly robust, maybe even more critical now. It just means applying that same rigorous evaluation, that same, is this substantially positive for my vital work? Question to things like Slack channels, endless Zoom meetings, or even complex project management software.
So it's not just social media anymore.
Not at all. Are these tools genuinely enabling your vital few professional activities? Or are they, perhaps unintentionally, creating more digital noise, more context switching, more demands on your limited attention? It really shifts the burden from just passively accepting the default digital environment to actively, intentionally designing your digital workspace, even if that workspace is now predominantly online or in your home office.
Okay, so we've talked about the mindset shift, ditching any benefit for the craftsman approach, and how to identify those vital few activities. The next logical step is, well, how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice?
Right. Theory is great, but action is key. And Newport offers some really practical, almost experimental strategies to help us make these changes.
One of them sounds pretty intense. It's a kind of digital cleanse.
Yeah.
He describes it in a way that reminded me of that packing party idea from minimalism. Ryan Nicodemus and the minimalists.
Yes. Packing up all your stuff as if moving.
Right, and only unpacking what you actually need over a few weeks.
Exactly the same principle, but applied to your digital life, specifically social media. Newport suggests you perform a packing party on your optional network tools. The challenge is this: ban yourself from using all these kinds of services. Think Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever you use, for a full 30 days.
30 days, cold turkey.
Cold turkey. And crucially, don't deactivate your accounts and don't announce your departure online. Just stop using them. Silent step away.
Okay, 30 days pass. Then what?
Then you ask yourself two very direct, very honest questions about each service you stopped using. Question 1. Would the last 30 days have been notably better if I had been able to use this service?
Notably better.
And question 2. Did people care that I wasn't using this service?
Oh, that's the tough one.
That's the really tough one. And if your honest answer to both questions is no, Newport's advice is pretty stark. Quit the service. Permanently.
Wow, just quit.
Just quit. Because the experiment has shown you it doesn't offer substantial unique value, and its absence wasn't significantly felt by others. That did people care question, as you said, it's brutal. It really forces you to confront maybe inflated ideas about your online importance or indispensability.
Yeah, I can see how that would burst a few bubbles.
Definitely. And this strategy is particularly critical, Newport argues, because social media is uniquely damaging to deep work. It's designed around offering personalized tidbits of information on an unpredictable, intermittent reward schedule.
Which makes it massively addictive. Classic operant conditioning.
Precisely. And the companies behind them have done a brilliant job convincing us we'll miss out FOMO, right, if we don't constantly engage. This experiment directly replaces that fear with cold, hard reality. And for most people, the sobering truth that emerges is that, really, no one outside your absolute closest circle of friends and family likely even noticed you were gone for a month.
It confronts what Newport calls that shallow collectivist alternative, where we just trade these low-value signals alike for alike, creating this simulacrum of importance, as he puts it.
Exactly. It's a reality check on your actual status as a content producer or an active, necessary participant in those online spaces. It cuts right through the illusion.
Okay, so that handles the social media aspect. What about those other attention traps? The entertainment-focused websites, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, Reddit, news aggregators.
Right, the infinite scroll sites. These are also brilliantly engineered, just in a slightly different way, to capture and hold your attention.
Yeah.
Catchy headlines, easily digestible content, constant novelty. They effectively act as a kind of cognitive crutch, Newport says, a way to instantly eliminate any trace of boredom or unoccupied mental space.
Which sounds harmless, maybe even nice sometimes.
But the hidden cost is that constantly resorting to this easy distraction weakens your mind's ability to resist distraction when you actually need to focus. It degrades your attentional fitness.
So what's the solution there? We can't just avoid the entire internet.
No. And the solution Newport draws on actually comes from quite a while back, an English writer named Arnold Bennett from the early 20th century. He wrote a book called How to Live on 24 Hours a Day.
Mm.
Bennett looked at the average office worker of his time and saw they had this whole other day within a day, roughly 16 free hours outside of their paid work.
16 hours. Yeah, we forget about that.
We do. And Bennett's big concern was that people treated work as the day, and all that leisure time was just sort of a prologue, an epilogue. It was largely squandered, filled with trivialities,
Sounds familiar.
doesn't it? His antidote was rigorous self-improvement, primarily through focused reading and study in that free time.
Okay, so applying Bennett's idea today.
The core concept is incredibly relevant. Make deliberate, mindful use of your time outside of work. Don't just default to whatever digital stream catches your eye or promises to fill a moment of quiet. Those addictive sites, the endless feeds, they thrive in a vacuum. If you haven't intentionally given your mind something else worthwhile to do, they will always be the easiest, most beckoning option.
So it's about actively scheduling or planning your leisure time, not just letting it happen.
Essentially, yes. Fill your free time with quality alternatives. That could be structured hobbies that require skill and focus, a set reading program like Bennett suggested, regular physical exercise, or engaging in good, present, in-person company.
It's not about burning yourself out with constant activity, though.
Not at all. And Bennett had a great line about this. He said, the mental faculties are capable of continuous hard activity. They do not tire like an arm or a leg. All they want is change, not rest, except in sleep.
Change, not just idleness.
Exactly. Engaging your mind in something different, something requiring effort and focus, is actually restorative in a way that passive consumption isn't.
So, if you give your mind something meaningful and engaging to chew on throughout your waking hours, you'll actually end the day feeling more fulfilled and probably start the next day feeling more relaxed and focused than if you just let your mind float in that semi-conscious sea of web surfing.
That's the argument. You're building your focus muscle even in your downtime.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you listening right now? It really seems like reclaiming your focus, cultivating that deep workability. It means taking this very deliberate, almost craftsman-like approach to the digital tools in your life. It's about consciously curating what gets access to your most valuable, finite resources, your time and your attention.
It really is. It's about shifting from being a passive consumer of whatever the algorithms serve up to being the active architect of your own attention, being the master of your digital domain, not its servant.
So, a question to reflect on then. When you honestly consider your biggest professional and personal goals, what potential minor benefits from certain apps or sites might you be unknowingly sacrificing your truly vital few activities for? That's a powerful question. Where is that trade-off happening silently in your own life?
And maybe, just maybe, what would a single month without your most used entertainment app or social media platform actually reveal? About your priorities, about what genuinely brings you fulfillment, about what you truly miss or don't miss at all.
You really won't know either way, will you? Not until you actually try sampling life without them, even just for a little while, and see what happens, see what truly matters.